dancers. So one of the comments that I give really often at competition is really work on articulating your feet. Today, I want to do an intro to foot articulation with you. Follow along, treat it like a virtual class. I'm going to share as much information as possible, and over time, I'd really like to do some more complicated foot articulation videos with more choreography built in. So, this is just the intro to foot articulation. Please, from here, continue to grow, continue to train, continue to take your classes, but let this serve as an introduction for you. The goal of this channel is to create information and dance training that is attainable for everyone, regardless of your financial means. If you are interested in more videos like this, follow along, subscribe, and hit that bell icon if you want to get alerts. When I'm talking to you about foot articulation, what I mean is how often are you pressing through demi? Are your feet suction cupping to the floor? Are you being really clear with how your feet move? So first things first, let's just kind of wake up the little feet. Hands on your waist, supporting through your core. So that's what we say when we say belly button to spine. That does not mean you're sucking in. It means you're trying to use your transverse abdominis to support your core or the trunk of your body, which is the root of all movement, really comes from the trunk of your body, and that's essentially your core, head to tail, all that good stuff. Now, from there, pressing in, I'm gonna just put my hands on my hips. You are welcome to do the same. You're gonna put your feet about hip width apart. If you are new to hip width, think of putting two fists together in between your feet, and that is roughly hip width distance. We're not going for a narrow stance, it's not feet together, it's hip width. So we're just gonna focus on waking up those feet. So I'm engaging my core, so I'm focusing on my balance, and I'm just waking up my feet. Really easy. Then what I'm gonna do, you have a ton of connective tissue, ligaments, tendons in your feet. So what you need to do is also stretch those out gently, gently, my dudes. So you're gonna press into a demi over the top of the foot and just finding that stretch, right? Very, very gently. If you are crushing the foot, it's not gonna feel great. Don't take weight on your foot like this. That's not great. We're just waking up all of those little muscles, those little ligaments, those little tendons. And remember, when you are stretching, sisters, not twins, right? So if you notice, I'm doing different amount of time on each foot. I am doing that because one foot is tighter than the other. One foot I'm saying, oh, that feels alarming. And I'm starting this conversation with myself. I'm learning how to live in my head and my body simultaneously. So as a dancer, you need to learn how to have that conversation with your body. As you are warming up your body, you are still paying attention to, that hurt, that felt great, that was a nice release, I didn't realize I was tense there, that sort of thing. So the other thing, anytime we work one direction, we also have to do the opposite. So I'm waking up my feet, learning how to articulate, but there's the same move that I keep doing, and that is where I pick my heel up, right? This movement right here, this is the muscle group, essentially your gastroc and your soleus, that are the ones engaging and lifting you up, right? So if we want those muscle fibers to work properly, we also need to stretch them out. So you can start in a plie, just a very soft, sort of Achilles stretch, bouncing around, finding that comfortable sort of stretch. From there, my other favorite way of stretching my Achilles, because I am the type of person where, wow, I wish you could have told me how much lint I had on my pants this whole time. It's like they're just covered. I literally just put these on. It's fine. It's fine. You know what? Love me through it. Thank you so much. So I have a really tight Achilles, and it's something that I fight through, and it's my least favorite stretch. That and the IT band. We brawl. We brawl. So go down, drop the head, release the head, shake your head no, shake your head yes. You're gonna start to feel all of this releasing. For me, I have a lot of trauma and tightness from my accident. even just shaking my head no and shaking yes, I've got a lot of trauma and tightness. Then I'm gonna walk my hands out. Think of gluing those feet into the ground. Now what I'm noticing is the tightness is surfacing in my back, and my back is starting to arch, right? Because it's feeling that tightness and it doesn't want me to press down, because pressing down really exacerbates the pain happening in the back of my legs. So I don't want to make it worse for myself, but I do need to get the stretch. So I'm gonna walk my hands in a little bit. Now, if your hands aren't on the ground, you're welcome to use a yoga block to put your hands up, or 2 yoga blocks to put your hands up. That's totally fine. So augment it based on your body's ability. Don't push your body past what your body's comfortable with. That's when you get injured, right? So we're stretching out, always stretching in opposition, because that's what we do, because we want to be able to dance for as long as we want to, not just as long as our body lets us. One of the other things I say a lot is that dance should not be painful. If it's painful, you're training incorrectly. Now, there is a difference between good pain and bad pain. Obviously, stretching can feel painful at first for a lot of people, but that's good pain. That's healing. You know, soreness is pain, but if you're finding that you're having joint issues, something is wrong in your training, and you've got to figure out what you're doing that's potentially being overlooked or not quite noticed. One of the big things, and I talk about this all the time, is letting the knees go in. You've got to focus on knees over toes. It's huge. Okay, now that we've woken everything up, I'm gonna give myself little bounces. That way I don't shock my feet in a minute. I don't know if you're like me, but I have very loose ankles side to side. And so I know that for my body, I need to warm up forward and backward with my feet, not just side to side where I'm basically built like a Muppet, to protect myself, right? We learn how to customize things over time to protect ourselves. And don't be afraid to ask your teachers questions. Don't be afraid to ask me questions in the comment section. If you're like, hey, my body's got this quirk, great, let's talk about it. That's wonderful. Your training should be custom to you and what you need. It shouldn't be this outline of cookie cutter training that every single person gets, right? All right, so introduction to foot articulation. Step 1, think about when you're at the bar, and you know, someday maybe I'll get a bar. we'll work on it, we'll get there. Think about when you're at the bar and you're in first position. Now I need to do a whole video on hip rotation and how people's bodies are made and how your hips are made, and not everyone's going to be able to do 180 turnout when you're standing, because everyone's body is built differently. Now, of course, as dancers, yes, we want that, but it's so much more important to take care of your body. For me, I've never had 180 when I'm standing. When I'm down, depending on my hip position, then I can get 180. So when I'm standing, I have like a cute 45, right? I don't know what's going on with my hair. I'm not great at hair. If you are, please help. It's not my thing. So I have like a cute 45, right? But once I go all the way into my grand plie, I'm an absolute 180. And again, as I'm rehabbing my body, I'm learning that sometimes I don't have the balance I used to have, and that's okay. Just being gentle with myself. So I'm a cute 180 now, but my hips are not made to be 180 when I'm standing. So if yours aren't either, that's totally fine. Don't be so hard on yourself. There are so many styles of dance where you don't need 180 turnout. That is one style where you need it, or it's the desirable thing. It's also not great for most people's bodies. So we're trying to dance for our whole lives up in here. We're doing healthy training that is body-based, that is biometrics, kinesiology-based training. Don't push your turnout. Please don't push your turnout. It's so bad for you. Moving forward, I'm just gonna do hands on hips. The focus here, my foot will always go out in the direction my toes are pointing, right? Right. So I'm standing in a first. My first is just kind of there today, and it's okay. That's just where I'm at. I'm still training now, right? We have our good days, we have our bad days. Love it. So my foot's gonna go out, I'm gonna go to demi, then I'm gonna roll through to a point. I'm gonna feel that press down. I wanna feel that stretch in the back of my leg and that pressing through the top of my foot. So I'm feeling the back and the top, and I'm feeling this knee come up and I'm trying to wrap my muscles simultaneously. So all of that is happening as I just tendu out to the side. So tendu, wrapping, pressing, thinking of getting that heel forward. Woo! Those deep set muscles. From here, going back to demi. Now when I pull in, at no point will I disengage my knee, right? And I know dance teachers are like, don't lock your knee out. Anatomically, that's how it works. Now you can get that stretch in the back of the knee without flexing, but the muscle group that stretches the knee is the quad. So there's that. Now I'm gonna push my knee in. I'm gonna lift up on my supporting hip, pulling in with that working leg. Boom. Then I'm gonna shift out other side. Demi, point, demi, in. Demi, point, demi, in. If it's hurting in a good way, not in a joint way, you're doing it right. Point, demi, in. So I'm pressing through the floor with my feet. So now let's go into 8, 4, 4, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. So in my happy little first position that is not perfect. 1, 2, look at my foot. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notice I leaned a little bit too much. You're really not supposed to lean that much. That's on me, right? And again, I'm retraining my body with you. So let me do the other side. I'm gonna try and hold everything really tight and try not to lean quite so much, especially in that hip. That mobility should not be happening. So 1, 2, 3, look at that foot. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so what I'm learning is that my right foot is more excited about articulating than my left today. So wherever you're at, ask yourself those questions. How did my legs and my feet feel like sisters and not twins? What were the differences between the two? That's a really important question to ask yourself, especially with training. So that's the intro. To me, that is the best way when you are in your ballet class to really think of those feet brushing the floor. Imagine your feet are like paintbrushes. So if I'm doing maybe like a rond de jambe or something, I'm gonna do that same technique and really think about accentuating boom, those toes, yeah? So think about a rond de jambe and how you can do that. Let's try a couple. Let's do 2 on each side. So stand on your happy first. I feel like a toddler teacher. Stand on your happy first. Oh, kids. Okay, so stretch forward, around. I'm finding that core connection. Boom. Definitely did more than I expected to. I'm noticing that shift back. Yee! Judging myself, but I also don't have bar to hold on to, so center is much harder. So grace. All right, 1 and 2. Good. So I'm noticing that this leg, even when I'm standing, I need to work on my rotation. And so what I mean by that is something feels locked, right? So if you're standing and your rotators feel locked, you need to stretch in opposition. And my goodness, this feels amazing. Note, I'm keeping my knees and toes in alignment. So what I'm doing here is did you hear that hip hop? Oh, it was amazing. I'm finding that internal rotation. I'm just softening it out in a gentle way that isn't detrimental to the health and well-being of my body, right? So shaking it out, all that good stuff. Okay, so the last exercise that I want to do with you, really simple. We're going to live in parallel for a second and focus on a weight shift while peeling the foot off of the floor, focusing on the peeling. So starting off to the side, and you can have your arms out for balance, actually, that might be more beneficial for you. I'm gonna pick my foot up and let it trace in like a lifted demi, right? Because we're focusing on how can we make cool, interesting choices with our feet. Keep in mind with this exercise, we are working in more of a tabletop. So this is much more of like a modern position. I'm dipping my body forward, which is what you do when you go into a tabletop, shifting that so that you can understand, yes, you can still articulate through your feet, even and almost especially when you're working in parallel. So, good luck. So I'm gonna pick my foot up in demi, shift it over from here, bring this foot up, back, down, shifting, 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 up, back, down, up. 2 more. 1 and 2. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and if there are any other tutorials you want to see, let me know. The goal is to do starting with beginner movements, especially as I'm rehabbing my body, and then do more advanced classwork with you guys in the future, and share so much of the knowledge that I have, because what's the point in having it if you're not sharing it? I love you guys. Be good to yourself, give yourself grace, understand that your body is yours and you want to be thankful for it. So don't forget to love your body, even if you have days where you're frustrated, which I completely understand. I'm often frustrated with my body, but my goodness, it keeps me safe and I love it. So be gentle with yourself. I love you. See you next time.